Bessie Coleman was born on January 26, 1892, in Atlanta, Texas. Her parents, Susan and George Coleman, worked as sharecroppers to support their 13 children. When her father found a better opportunity for more pay in Oklahoma, her mother did her best to support the children. They all worked together to contribute what they could. At age 12, she began to attend a missionary Baptist church in Texas. After her graduation, she moved to Oklahoma for a big opportunity. She got into the Oklahoma Colored Agriculture and Normal University, also known as Langston University. Sadly, her time was cut short at the university because of financial reasons, and she only got to finish one term. Around 1915, she moved to Chicago and lived with her brothers, where she attended the Burnham School of Beauty and Culture and got a job working as a manicurist in a local barber shop. Moving to Chicago was what lit the spark in her love of flying. She began listening and reading stories of World War I pilots. One of her brothers, John, had served in World War I overseas and returned home talking all about the war. He told her about how French women had more opportunity than she did. That was the final push to make her want that life. She soon began to apply to flight schools all around the country, but within this time period it was hard for her. She was both female and African American, and this meant that no U.S. flight school would take her. She didn't know what else to do, but as luck would have it, she met Robert Abbott. Abbott was a well-known publisher for an African American newspaper known as the Chicago Defender. His advice to her was simple: go to France. Around that time, he believed that France was the world's most racially progressive nation. She quit the manicurist job and began to work at a chili parlor for more pay. She took it upon herself to learn French and achieve her goal in becoming a pilot. In November of 1920, Bessie saved some money, and with Abbott's help, she sailed off for France. There, she attended a school known as Coudreau Brothers School of Aviation, and within 7 months of being there, she got her license. This made her one of the first female pilots. She returned to America in September of 1921 with big dreams. Her main goals were to make a living in flying and to establish the first African American flight school. But again, due to her color and gender, she was rejected. To keep flying in her life, her only option was to learn the art of barnstorming. Flying and performing aeronautical stunts was the only way to keep her passion alive. But she didn't have much training, so back to France she went. In France, she had the freedom to live her dream and become certified with barnstorming tricks. The U.S. stopped her because of her race and gender. Her whole life was stopped because of that, but she never let that stop her. On September 3rd, in 1922, she flew her first air show in New York. This first show opened up many doors for her. Abbott helped her focus this dream into something good. So she started touring the country, giving exhibitions, flying lessons, and lectures. She always left making sure encouragement was given to women and fellow African Americans to follow their dreams and learn how to fly. Coleman realized that she had to work with Southern segregation and always tried to use her fame to challenge racial barriers. Bessie always said, "The air is the only place free from prejudice." She went back to her old hometown to give a show, and officials wanted whites and African Americans to enter the venue through separate admission gates, but Coleman refused to perform under such conditions. She demanded the show wouldn't go on until there was only one admissions gate. Coleman got her way, and Texans of both races entered the airfield through the same gate, but then separated into their designated sections once inside. On July 19th, in 1925, she performed in Houston. This was an important show because it was on the anniversary of when Texan slaves learned about their impeachment. About a year later, her career ended tragically in a plane crash. On April 30th, in 1926, She was preparing for a show in Jacksonville, Florida, and was riding the passenger seat of her Ginny airplane while her mechanic, William Willis, was piloting the aircraft. Bessie did not have her seatbelt on at this time because she was leaning over the plane to find potential parachute landing spots. While she was scouting for landing spots, the plane headed into a steep nosedive, then flipped over, catapulting her to her death. The pilot, Willis, was wearing his seatbelt at the time, but when the plane crashed into a tree, he died as well. Her death was tragic, but her impact on the world mattered. She remains a pioneer of women in the field of aviation and gave courage to all women around the world to shoot for their dreams. She is known as Queen Bess, a daredevil in the sky and a great leap for women everywhere.